Hi, I'm Dave Vickers and welcome to the Photo Show. We're going to do another Photoshop tutorial today, and we're carrying on looking at the Nik Collection software. Now, if you haven't seen the previous videos or you're not aware of the Nik Collection, the Nik Collection is a set of 7 different pieces of software plugins that work with both Photoshop and Lightroom. Originally, when they came out, they were about $500. Google then bought them and the price dropped down to about $150, which is about £100 sterling. But as of May of 2016, the Nik Collection is now completely free. So you can download this set of 7 different software plugins for both Photoshop and Lightroom completely free now. I'll put a link in the description below. And if you want to see how to download it and how to set it up within Photoshop and Lightroom, click the little box that's coming up now, and that will take you to my video of showing you how to get the Nik Collection for free. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look at one of the pieces of software, and the program we're going to look at today is called Color Efex Pro 4. So I've opened up this landscape shot. It was taken in Connemara in Ireland a couple of years ago. It wasn't the best of days. As you can see, it's a very flat, dull day, but it's a nice shot, and we'll see what we can do by using the Color Efex Pro plugin and see how we can enhance this image within Photoshop. So you can see I've got the Photoshop open, and I've got the image open here, and we've got our Nik selection tool here, and here is where we can pick and choose which piece of software we want to use, and we're going to use Color Efex Pro 4. So I'm going to click on the box there, and you can see now it's opened up a separate layer over the top. It's now going to open the Color Efex Pro 4 window over the top of Photoshop and open up the image for us so we can start working on it. So there we go, we've got our image now, and we're open within the Color Efex window space. So there's quite a few different things to look at here. So we'll start off on the left hand side here, and you can see it says Color Efex Pro 4, and we've got a number of different options here. At the moment it's selected on all, and this is giving us all of these filters that are available within Color Efex Pro. It's by default opened up on Dynamic Skin Softener. I don't know why it opened up on Dynamic Skin Softener. That's possibly just the default thing. Maybe if you're using it for weddings and portraits, that's the starting point. So it's actually applied a filter already to it. But if you click compare there, it's not actually making that much difference to the image. So for the time being, we'll keep that as it is. But as you can see, we've got a whole bunch of different filters that you can pick and choose from. To make it slightly easier, they've also included categories. So for example, if we go to the next category here, which is landscape, that's giving us a bunch of filters which are applicable to use within landscape images. And since we're using a landscape image, that's probably where we'll head for. We'll just do a quick run through. You've got other options here. So you've got wedding. That then changes the filters in there. They're much more suitable for wedding and portrait kind of shots. Architecture, again, the list changes. All of these filters are available. If you clicked all of the filters are available. Basically what these different sections do is just minimize them down to ones that are applicable for that type of image. You have nature, again giving you a bunch of different options. Portrait, travel. I'm not sure why travel would be different from landscape or architecture, but we've got that there. And you have favorites. So if there's any that you've picked out and chosen that you tend to use a lot, all you do is, let's say for example, you use the detail extractor a lot. If you click the little star icon there, then go to favorite, you can see now the detail extractor is within your favorite. So if you find filters that you like, click the little star icon like that, and it'll add them to your favorites, and you can find them quickly rather than searching through all the different sections. So that's the left hand side. That's all of your filters there, and each of these filters has, if you hover over them, you can see there's a little fold out there, and if you click that, that's going to give you some presets to do with that particular filter. So at the moment we've picked out detail extractor. So if I click the default detail extractor there, that's now going to apply it to the image, and you can see over this side, over the right hand side, it's now removed the skin softener filter that was on there and added this detail extractor. So coming back here, top of the screen here, you've got some options. You've got your single image view, which we're on. You can click for a split preview, and you can see now that it's actually split the screen. So on the left hand side here we have the image before it was affected by the filter, and on the right hand side you've got the image with the filter affecting it. You can slide this across the image there so you can see how it's actually having an effect on it. You can also flip it to be a horizontal line, and then the next option here is a side-by-side preview. At the moment it's one on top of the other. Flip that and you've got a side-by-side preview. On the right hand side here is the image beforehand, and on the left hand side is the image beforehand, and on the right hand side is the image with the filter applied. If we go back to the single image view, you also have a button here that says compare. If you just click on that, click and hold, that'll show the image beforehand and that'll show the image afterwards. So we have opened a detail extractor. Let's come over to the right hand side now, and within the detail extractor you've got some different options. You've got the detail extractor itself, so if we bring that down to 0, it's virtually having no effect. If we push it up this way, it's starting to have a real effect on the image, and you can see the harder you push it, obviously this is it's making the image slightly unrealistic. It's almost giving it the over the top HDR effect, but dial this back to a point that you're happy with. So let's find a point where we're getting the details out of the image that we like. I'm going to say about there, so that's 33% for this image. I mean, if we do the compare now, that's before, and you can see how much detail it's pulled out, especially in the mountains here and in the reflections below. Next one down, you've got contrast, so you can boost your contrast for the image, and this is obviously with contrast it's boosting the difference between the blacks and the whites within the image to give your image a bit more punch. You can see if we take it all the way down to the bottom, the image flattens out quite a bit. If we start to bring the contrast back in, and I'm going to say about there, we'll click the compare button to see where we started. That's the image beforehand, that's the image afterwards. So you can see even with just using a single filter here, we're making quite a difference. Next one down, you have saturation. So bring it all the way down to the bottom, and we're dropping a lot of the saturation out. It's actually sort of giving a very muted, almost monochrome effect. Start to boost it up. Let's take it way over the top. You take it too far and you can see here in the greens we're getting way too much saturation. But it's horses for courses. If that's what you like, personally I'm going to bring it back a little bit, just to about there. And then you've got your effects radius. It's by default on normal, but you can go into sort of fine detail or larger detail. We'll keep that on normal for the time being. And finally down here you've got adjustments for your shadows and highlights. So if we start to pump that, that's going to open up the shadows a little bit. If we start to adjust that, it's going to adjust the highlights. So let's do the compare. That's where the image started. And you can see we're getting a lot more detail, we're getting a lot more punch back into the image there as well. And again, with all of the Nik software, one of the great points is the control points. So control points allow you to add and subtract areas that you're affecting. So you can see here that from the original, it's putting some artifacts into the sky here where we've used the detail extractor. So if I click the minus point there and bring it across to the sky there, it's actually going to remove that effect from the sky. if I so that's removed that effect from the sky there. Got a little bit up here as well. So if I hold down Alt, click on that, and bring that over to here as well, and there we go. We've removed the effect from the sky. And again, you can let's do a plus control point now. Let's say we want to localize our effect a little bit more. So let's bring a plus point into the reflection here. And the circle here is really the area that's going to be influenced by that. And you can see the opacity here allows us to remove some of that or bring it in at 100%. So you've got a lot of control here over your different filters. So let's say we want to carry on working on this image. We want to keep what we've got so far, but we want to add another filter in. So we'll come back to our list here. And if we just click on one of the filters here, it will automatically replace the detail extractor. What you need to do here is there's a little button that says Add Filter. So we click Add Filter, and it's now saying please select a filter from the filter list. So if we go down the filter list, let's try Pro Contrast, and we'll just click that straight in. So now, if you can see, we've got two filters here. We've got Detail Extractor and Pro Contrast. And we can start to play with the Pro Contrast. So the first one here is Correct Color Cast. So if we have color cast that's been brought into the image, either by the lighting or the previous effects we've added, we can definitely adjust that. And you can see here within the, if you watch when I move it within the mountains, it's kind of adding a little red cast or taking a little red cast away. So let's do that. Next we've got Correct Contrast. So let's start to bring that. Let's bring it all the way up to the top. And you can see that's darkening down the image and really pushing the contrast between the blacks and the whites there. And next we have Dynamic Contrast. So let's pull the Dynamic Contrast. And this is it's more of a global effect. It's looking at all of the tones. And again, we have the shadows and the highlights. I'll keep the shadows nice and down. I think we'll pump the highlights a little. So there we go. All we've done here is we've pulled up two filters and played around with them very minimally. And let's do the split there and rotate that. And you can see now between the left-hand side before we added the filter and the right-hand side, we've made quite a difference to this image. This is quite flat and dull, and this has got a lot more punch and a lot more contrast to the entire image. Now, for example, let's put this back to single view. Let's say you have quite a few images that you want to work on using the same effects. Instead of going through all the process of adding the effects each time, you can now save what you've done here as a recipe. So if we click Save Recipe and give it a name, let's call it Landscape 2, click OK, and now you can see we have in the recipes we have a custom list, and there we have Landscape 2. So you can save the recipes for use later on, and you can see I've saved a few before. So let's have a look at some of the ones I've saved. So it's asking me if I want to change the recipe. I'm going to say yes. And there, now we've got a completely different look to the image. This recipe contains a filter called Brilliant Warmth, the Detail Extractor, and a gradiated filter. Let's go down to one here, which is Landscape Detail. We'll click yes again. That's obviously a lot more work's gone into that. It's got the contrast color range, skylight filter, graduated neutral density, and detail extractor again. and there's another example where we really pushed it to quite an extreme here. But again, it's only this effect is only using 2 filters. If I click the compare, there's the original, and there's what we've achieved just using 2 filters. And if you drop down, you can see the detail extractor was a lot higher. I've dropped the saturation back, and using the tonal contrast, I've gone through the various different sections of the tone to get this effect up for the image. So if we go back to recipes here, you've now got a bunch of different recipes. You've got the custom ones I've created, you've got all recipes here, and here you've got, you know, again with all of the recipes and preset sets within any of the Nik software, I would suggest using them as a starting point. So we've got the first one here, which is black gold. So let's click yes and change to that. And you can see it's given a very stylized look to the image. And again, it's doing what the name suggests, black gold. You've got a lot of blacks, a lot of the greens have become a very gold color. Let's do a split on the 2 images there, and it's a massive difference between the original image and the adjusted image. You've got bleach portrait. I'd take it by the name that, you know, this is more something you would use for a portrait image, but again, it's worked really well. You've got you know, it's giving a completely different look to the image, quite a dreamlike image. Let's try one more, glowing fade here. There, it's added in this one, not only has it made all the adjustments to the image, but it's also added a custom border around the outside. So let's say that we wanted to go back to where we started just now. If you click on history, let's go back, we were in the recipes, we have a tab here that says history, and this is showing us everything that has happened to that image since we opened it up within the Color Efex Pro. You can see there's the original state, the dynamic skin softener that's there when we first started, all of the different presets that we've applied and changed, all of the ones there. Let's say we want to go back to a certain point. Let's go back to where we finished before we started using the presets. Click that, and that's taken us right back to the point where we finished playing with the image ourselves and then started playing with the presets. And you can go back to any point in the history of the work you've done with this image. So let's say we're happy with that. You click OK. It's now going to save the image and reopen it back up in Photoshop. So there we go. It's now opened it up in Photoshop, and it's as a separate layer over the top. So if we turn it off, that's where the image started before we used Color Efex Pro. That's it with the filters we apply within it. Obviously now if you wanted to do more work with it within Photoshop, you could, you know, start working on it again there. But that's a very basic overview of Color Efex Pro. It's a very big program. I would, you would again, spend a couple of hours playing around, just trying to get the looks and feel of what exactly there is involved within the Color Efex program. I'm going to leave it there. I'm Dave Vickers. This is the Photo Show. Thank you for watching. If you like what you see on the Photo Show, please comment, like and subscribe in the boxes below. Until next time, see you then.